As well, so good. And look, it can do this.
One trick that I used to get 25 million subscribers on YouTube, and you can do it too, alright.
Thing in front of the girl they like, oh, no one likes me, my dog won't even look at me, my dog took a shit on the floor because they were so disgusted with me, God, no one's ever gonna love me, except maybe you, can you show me your titty?
I love my fans.
None of your content creators, your favorite ones, including me, are your friends.
My throat made
Don't you just hate that one character in Aladdin called Jafar?
Stop.
We live in a weird time, you know. It's easy to forget that the norms of life that we live in, or at least what Gen Z has grown up with, were not the norms for very long. In fact, most of the ways we live today are very recent. It was never a normal thing to live your life exposing yourself to countless people on a daily basis. It was never normal to present yourself to everybody in a carefully documented way through the means of the internet. The internet barely existed a couple of decades ago. Parasocial relationships have become the biggest threat to the world of the internet as we know it. And a lot of people don't even seem to actually know what they are. They just seem to have a vague understanding. I want to make you think, because in the end, do you really even know the creators of emotion? I'm making this video right now to explain to you what a parasocial relationship actually is, how somebody can develop it, and what it actually entails for whoever has a parasocial relationship. Parasocial relationships seem to be very skewed on the internet. People think they know what they are, but they don't actually. They only know what their fellow streamers and YouTubers say they are. A parasocial relationship is more than just somebody giving away their college funds to Pokimane after she moves in her chair just slightly. Let's start off this way. There's one small misconception that parasocial relationships is just something new, that has randomly come around now, but that's not entirely the case. In fact, parasocial relationships are anything but new. They were originally thought of as a psychological phenomenon back in 1956, thanks to two psychologists known as Richard Wall and Donald Horton, almost 7 decades ago. Now, I meant to look like a guy from the 50s, but instead I've ended up looking like a gay founding father of America mixed with a dad on vacation. So, what did Horton and Wall end up proposing to us? To paraphrase what they said, effectively an actor on TV, whether or not they're playing a fictional or non-fictional character, end up engaging their audience in a very strange way. It was not the way that was expected. Instead of the audience members merely being observers of the show and what's going on, instead they ended up forming emotional bonds. It was triggering natural instincts in human brains, especially towards those of relationships. And naturally, like any good performer, they will adjust their act to please the audience. And then we see this funny loop. It enforces this illusion towards the viewer that there is, in fact, some form of emotional bond. To quote directly from their text, this simulacrum of emotional give or take could be called a parasocial interaction. Parasocial relations may be governed with no or little sense of obligation, of effort or responsibility on the part of the spectator. Now, don't be tempted to write off this as just some old folks talking about people who don't matter anymore. It may be tempting to say that this doesn't matter unless your walls are covered with Gene Kelly and your
biggest interest on the weekend is to get high off musicals. And you'd be right to say that times have changed. But they haven't changed for the better.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome to Nights at Mirks, an indie horror game that you guys suggested to me in mass, and I saw that Yami played it and he said it was really good. So I'm really eager to see what is up, and that is a terrifying animatronic right there.
Hey Vsauce, Nemo here. Or am I here? No, really, am I actually here? Because your screen definitely says so. Your screen is telling you that I am indeed right here, recording this video, looking into a camera, while my eyes hurt from the weirdly presented glasses I've never worn in a video before. But I am probably not actually here. In fact, I am probably at a cafe eating a nice meal, or sitting in my room watching a good YouTube video. I am not making this video. So if I'm not here, what does that mean for our relationship? Well, it could mean many different things. But let's start this way. Humans have two different types of relationships that split into minor categories within themselves. One being a parent and caregiver relationship, but we'll get to that one later. And the second one is a adult person-to-person relationship. But even on that second category, they separate into three minor categories, and that's what we'll explore. So let's say that we have this black bunny, and this black bunny is in a relationship with, this meerkat. Now, they love each other very much, and because they love each other, they will hug. Aw, isn't that nice? It's wholesome. It's something to write to your mother about. You should send her this video and like it. But let's be real. I hate to be this guy, but meerkats, they live in a totally different climate to bunnies. Like, how would they ever meet? There's no way this could actually happen. And meerkats are in Africa, but then bunnies are in somewhere else. There's no way they could hug. Not realistically. So, realistically, if they still love each other, where could they do? What could they do? How could they do it? Well, realistically, the only possible way for them to do anything is to email each other, or text each other, or DM each other on Instagram. So, how do they do that? Well, he will send a text, and then she will send a text back, and they send one after another. That is a mediated relationship. This is a relationship based off the media that allows them to communicate. Where the first relationship was face-to-face, this one relies solely on the distance. Now, unfortunately, these relationships aren't always the strongest. Sometimes they are, but in this case, there has been many studies to show that it doesn't actually help your relationship when there's distance. But let me throw a spanner into the works. What if Simples right here doesn't know that this Dark Soul bunny even exists? Well, you might think, how could they possibly be talking to each other? This is called a parasocial relationship. This type of relationship only exists in the mind of the non-existent. The person who is enjoying anything that Simples here puts out. You might think that's a very unhealthy relationship. Well, it is. And that's what we're exploring today.
Gives me connections.
Everything aside, parasocial relationships propose a real serious danger to the mental health of people of the new generations. Sure, parasocial relationships have existed in the past, but it's only been such a serious issue now, when the internet is so prevalent. It's no longer a girl hanging up posters on her walls. She just has to look at her phone, and she's bombarded by images of people. You might think it must be a dumb thing to get into a parasocial relationship, but that's not entirely true. There are many psychological reasons as to why someone would get into a parasocial relationship. One starting factor is that it's a remnant from their childhood. There are two types of relationships that a human can experience, and the first is a parent/caregiver and somebody who is in need of care. When you're born, you naturally grow to admire and appreciate your parents or caregivers. You look at them for approval. Jordan Peterson, in his book 12 More Rules for Life, states that he observed his granddaughter look for the opinions and approval of her parents. Humans are intrinsically born to seek approval, especially from those they care about. And from an early age, we start to understand what approval is and whether or not we are worth it. Situations where there is no parent or caregiver to give this approval to a child is extremely damaging. It has effects on later life from small, minute ways to massive consequences. And one issue it causes is that it sparks parasocial relationships. It was stated by Mikulinsa and Shaver in their 2007 book that infants who had a pattern of secure attachments were more successful in later life in social situations and intimate relationships. The reason parasocial relationships are so pleasing is that they're the least threatening type of relationship on a surface value. Because it's one-sided, there is barely ever any conflict to be had in the relationship. The natural struggles of trying to form a relationship that everyone experiences are completely skipped over. But this doesn't just happen to those who had issues in their infant stages. People can form parasocial relationships from any type of will, whether that be a task attraction, that they like a celebrity because of something they can do, a romantic attraction because of something sexual or romantic, or an identification relationship where the person admiring a celebrity feels like they relate to this celebrity on a personal level because they're very hey, don't put a photo of Bo, stop it. In fact, after the passing of Michael Jackson, people were coming to therapists and displaying the same emotional reactions to those who had actually lost a true family member. It's because of this reason that actors commonly seem to have a sense of confusion whenever a fan meets them. They don't know if the fan loves the person or the person they're pretending to be. The actor who played Dr. Bashir in Star Trek once recounted that people often asked him personal things about the character and not even the person. In a study in 2004, it was found that anxious ambivalent viewers anticipated more negative consequences for the loss of a character in a television show, a reflection of the intensity of those relationships and how those anticipated responses mirrored the loss of a real relationship in their life. The truth is, the human brain was never meant to cope with the idea of knowing too many people. And it was never meant to cope at all with knowing somebody who doesn't know you back. It should be actually no surprise whatsoever that these bonds exist. Those who indulge themselves in these parasocial relationships actually exhibit worse behavior when trying to enter real face-to-face relationships, as they don't expect many of the normal occurrences that happen in real-life relationships. It's hard to say that a parasocial relationship ever changes into being a social one.
I'm in love with an, I'm in love with an, I'm in love with an ego. I'm in love with an, I'm in love with an, I'm in love with an ego.
Okay. Man. Oh, been a rough day to record. I don't really know who's more aggressive at the moment. The ducks behind me or the really oddly aggressive Australian boys with mullets who keep walking past. But that's beside the point. We shall persist. Maybe they just don't like YouTubers who seem to look simultaneously 20 and 80. Anyway, parasocial relationships. Okay, so I don't want you to fall into this misconception that the only people parasocial relationships affect are those who are viewing the content that's being made. So you might think that the object or the content creator isn't having any negative side effect. That's not entirely true. In fact, it could actually be in some cases worse for the content creator. Now here's why. So you see, a large content creator only necessarily gets to see the large conglomerate of reactions of the content that's being made. Let's take a content creator, for example, Dream. You see, he would only be able to see the large mass reaction to his content. He wouldn't be able to see the individual reactions unless he painstakingly read through every single comment and recognized every name. He's not going to know anyone, which dehumanizes the value of reaction. So on one face, that we have this almost seemingly meaningless reaction to positiveness, but then negativity also. So once again, it's this neutral state. But above that, there's also this negative likening to valuing yourself off how much your content is received in a positive light. So if we're to take example my TikTok right here, I recently had a couple of TikToks go viral, if I don't blow my own trumpet. I'm not wearing my red shirt in this one because I wasn't playing the character I am right now. But anyway, I had these videos go viral, and it's difficult to watch them slow down in likes, mostly because it seems to give you a sense of validation, as if you are only as good as the likes on these videos. It dehumanizes person-to-person contact, and that's not healthy at all. In fact, it's the exact opposite of healthy, and that's another side effect of this social media world we live in. The dehumanizing of relationships is incredibly damaging to the youth. It's not normal whatsoever. So, how do we fix this? Is it to only gain a limit of followers? Maybe 1,000 followers is the best. Well, here's a fun fact. The average human can only remember a max amount of names of around 300, 350. Anything above that, we seemingly forget people. Now that might sound rude, but you can barely remember somebody's name the first time you meet them. I definitely can't. I've had my own experiences multiple times. It has been rather awkward. Anyway, but it is important to make sure that we value the connections that we make. And especially for the creators, it's definitely important that the creator separates themselves from the mass reactions. Otherwise, it could be to your own detriment, where you change your personality that way that you get those mass reactions. And ironically, in a lot of cases, as seen in the last couple of years, changing your personality or warping who you are as a human actually damages how people see you. Cycling this malevolent cycle, I guess you could say, to the point where you destroy yourself in the process. That got dark really quickly.
Hello everybody, my name is Brian, Grian's less handsome cousin, and welcome back to another episode of Hermitcraft. In the last episode, we did some work on our soon-to-be mega base, and we got quite a solid amount of progress done for one episode. But before we can do any work on our base in today's episode, we need to strike a deal with our good friend, Pearlescent Doom. So let's go see what she's up to. Hey,
Hi! Oh.
Alright, so I have a deal for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how does that sound?
Fantastic.
Oh, I'm glad you like it.
I'm dancing in excitement.
I can see that. It's a very, PG dance. You are the owner of the biggest company in the shopping district.
I wouldn't say that, but yeah, I mean, I'm pretty famous.
Well, I can make you more famous with this deal.
Oh?
How about I get 80% of the shares for your company, and you get the privilege of being my friend.
Oh, do I get to brag?
Oh, you get to brag all you want, sweetheart.
I need to cleanse myself first, just to get my mind in the mood to make a deal. And do you know how I do that?
How?
I feed my fish. This is Rigby, and this is how you keep a fish nice and healthy.
I should probably grab that. Why is he eating melons? That is so... Not even Johnny Sins could have that many melons.
The key to a fish's heart is through his melons.
He's loving everything but the melons. He's got his face in the tag.
After that cleansing experience,
yes.
I have come to my decision. It was a very tough one, but, you know, the bragging is just too much to resist. So yes, I will accept your offer.
Oh, I make you excited, baby, don't I? Ow.
Get away from me.
Bye! What an idiot. 80% of the shares. Passive income. Does she even know how to do business past?
Okay, Nick, just conclude the video. You got this. All you need to do is walk in there, say a whole bunch of things very confidently so they think you know what you're talking about. You read a whole bunch of things from that psychology paper. You spent heaps of week planning this. So, yeah, go in there, show them what you got, put that muscle in. Yeah, okay, here we go, Nicholas. Fuck's sake, the lights are too bright. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not fully sure how to finish this video. You see, this is a pretty big topic when it comes to the internet. And the more I started trying to work out how to conclude this video, the more I realized that I'm more unsure than I am sure. My intention was originally to finish this video with a big hurrah! We fixed the internet! This is the issue with all those people. I wanted to be the good commentary YouTuber who could slay the evil cringe and prosper the Reddit karma. But I realized something as I tried to conclude this video. The reason it didn't fit cleanly in my head was something that I discussed earlier in this video. In the Vsauce sketch, I mentioned the different types of relationships, face-to-face, mediated, and parasocial. And the more I think about the way of the internet, the more I realize the reason parasocial relationships are becoming so much more frivolous and so much more common is because parasocial is blending with mediated. We all know that one giddy kid who gets excited when their favourite streamer reads out their donation and possibly lets out a bit of a giggle as well. That's not entirely parasocial. We're not living in a world where the only way you'd see somebody is through the TV screen. Now you see somebody right there. Them talking to their chat. There's a return in your investment these days. There's reason to put your voice out because in some cases you'll get a return. Go on, at them on Twitch. Go on, subscribe to their Patreon. They might respond. Or in some cases they might groom you, but that's beside the point. My point is, you look at somebody like Ludwig who said, treat this like a TV show. But that's not entirely true. If it really was a TV show, then parasocial relationships would be a lot more infrequent. The only reason that they're so prevalent is because of us, the creators, trying to engage with their audiences. I mean, after all, we are the you in YouTube. A little more than we like to admit. So, now I feel like I've wasted your time. I've lectured to you about parasocial relationships for 20 minutes, and now I've told you, well, it's not necessarily parasocial, it's more mediated. It's not necessarily mediated, I'm just stirring the pot of drama. What I want you personally to take away from this is mind yourself. Watch how you truly feel. And make sure that how you feel is orientated in the right direction. Here's a fun little story for you. When I was in year 7, I was so emotionally drained that I ended up becoming attached with a wallpaper extension for Google Chrome that displayed Monica from DDLC. I hate to admit it, but yes, I was in love with a wallpaper. Parasocial relationships happen to everyone, but they don't have to. Go on. Talk to the person you care about. They'll be happy to talk to you. They'll be happy to see you. You're worth it. You mean a lot more than you realise. You don't need some fancy streamer with 1 million subscribers and 1 million followers. And if you are that creator who's desperate to get followers and subs, I feel you. I feel you big time. But once again, you're enough. And sometimes the smallest echo could be enough for you to make it through. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you take something away from it. And I'll see you in the next one!
Hey peeps, it's Ronald and welcome back into the more Fortnite, and today, guess who's back? Back again. Plays more Fortnite, being more awesome. Ronald's back! Okay, we see all the people dropping all Battle Royale games. There should be a door to the battle bus.
Let's call a school bus.